Okay, so it looks like, even though I can't see it on the page, we're live, folks. It's Monday night, 8 o'clock. I just have to get rid of the sound from there. And then I have to go back to this page so as I can see the man. And there we are, rock and roll. Hey, everyone, welcome. It's that usual time again on a Monday. You'll see today is not just me. I'm joined by another member of royalty. We've got a whole
royalty.
Got a royal thing going on there, bit of red, white, and blue, especially for St. George's Day and for the arrival of the new baby, who maybe during the next 30 minutes we might name.
What new baby?
What new baby? You don't watch the news, do you? I haven't missed anything. Right, so I'm going to introduce you to Mr. Steve Trister in a minute, or he's going to introduce himself. He doesn't need me to do it for him. For those of you in the UK, I hope you enjoyed our summertime. That was it. Started last week, ended yesterday. But there's lots of people out today I saw with little sunburnt noses and sunburnt cheeks. So it was quite a treat to get some warm weather. I thought we'd get a weekend of hanging out in the garden, but alas, no. So last week I picked up some random eye infection. For those of you that know much about medical things, periorbital cellulitis. And that's not the same cellulite that you might get on your legs, it's different. And anyway, my eye was massive. It looked like I'd bumped into the wrong kind of person, I have to say. So I spent Saturday at A&E and Moorfields Eye Hospital, which Steve said earlier, if you're going to end up at any eye hospital, end up at Moorfields. So IV antibiotics, new antibiotics, although the swelling you'll see has gone down. I look all right, don't I, really? I did look like a pirate on Saturday because the eye hospital decided to draw in Sharpie all around my eye so that they could see where it was swelling and where the swelling continued and where it reduced. So I did look like a real-time pirate. Anyway, swelling's gone, vision is bad. Was meant to be in France today, running a workshop for a client tomorrow, Wednesday. I can't go, can't fly. So I'm here.
Were you flying the plane?
Was I flying the plane? Well, I wanted to. I've been waiting to fly a plane for years. Actually, no, I'd be terrified. I'd be hopeless. I don't like heights. I don't think I'd want to look out from the front. I think I'm all right looking at the side like that. I won't want to look out from the front.
Well, at the front, you know, on a lot of the planes, like the big ones, you can't see. You have to look up, don't you? Up and out. You can't really see down.
No, I suppose you do. I've only ever been into a cockpit once for a little look around. That doesn't sound quite right. Anyway, shut up. So look, folks, I'm here. I don't need sympathy. I don't need flowers. Just saying, I've turned the ring light down because I can't stand the bright light. So apologies for this face.
It's really bright, mate.
Is it?
Yeah.
I might have to turn it down a bit more then because it actually hurts my eyes.
You don't want to burn your retinas as well.
There we go, down a bit more. There we go.
Yeah, nice.
There's a slightly darker version, so a little bit older, moodier version of me tonight. But fortunately, I'm joined by the enigmatic, young, handsome Steve Trister. Now, Steve Trister is a speaker coach, amongst other things. He is speaker coach to the masses, to those that are wanting to make the big step change in their life. And it seemed really timely to get Steve on here. Because he's a complete master of what he does and brings so much style and experience and humor and insight and some real gravitas to what he does. So it was just a no-brainer to get him on here. Feeling a bit inflated now, aren't you? But it's all true.
No, it's the guy's doing a bit of gravitas.
Gravitas, weighted. So it seemed that he's the only person to get on when you're going to talk about this kind of thing. And over in the BTFI group, it gets picked up on quite a lot, where people talk about needing some help with presenting themselves, with having more impact, with getting messages across, people posting when they are struggling to get messages across with their teams. So it's an everyday issue, right? For all of us, we are faced with how do we communicate and engage people and get our message across and be heard in the best way possible, whatever environment that is. So those are the kind of conversations that happen in the BTFI group. If you're not in it, it's a group of movers, shakers, thought leaders, coaches, people that want to take action in their life. It's a space, a tribe. I think that's what it is. It's a tribe for support, for tough love, for challenge. We'll pop the link in. Head on over. Join us if you're new to the group. If you're new to BTFI, welcome. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're going to have some fun for the next 25 minutes. Steve, no pressure. Steve's going to give us some fun for the next 25 minutes. Aren't you? That was the deal.
Possibly.
We agreed that.
Well, you didn't transfer the money to my PayPal account, so that might be off.
I will do. 8:40, I'll transfer it. If you're funny. So, actually, Steve, say hello to everyone. Tell them I've told them why I think you're here. You tell them why the hell you think you're here.
I didn't realize this was going live.
Oh, did you not?
Of course I did. I thought this was the test link. Not. Why I think I'm here?
Yeah.
Well, what, on this planet or on this call?
No, because we haven't got long enough for that question. But just on this.
It's not that long, mate.
The answer. I don't know. I've spoken to you before.
Yeah. Touche. Like right now in UK PLC, there is a disease sweeping it that 99.99% of business professionals have, and it's called Vomiticus Contentinaatum, or in layman terms, puking content. Now, I came across this in 2007 when I went to some business networking events, and my background is performing, professional acting, very similar to you with the performance stuff, but I was shocked, mate. I was going to business owners and speaking to senior leaders, and I was losing the will to live talking to them. And I was like, oh my God. But after, it hit me after going to event 4, 5, 6, 7, I was like, right, there's a theme here. They seem to have, the majority, some people had it naturally, very, very small amount about how to properly engage an audience, whether it's one or many. And I was like, well, maybe there's something that I've learned as an actor that I can share with business professionals. And then it sort of grew and grew and grew. And now it's ultimately, this is the bigger picture. And I never really go in and pitch it like this, but because of what's happened to me personally over the last 3 to 4 months, where I've gone on a proper personal spiritual journey more, this is all about getting people connected back to who they truly are from the inward journey. And then outwardly, it's about giving them the space to express that in the right way so it really connects with their audience. And ultimately, it's all about human connection, the inner connection, and then the outer connection. Forget about selling shit or anything like that. Yeah. The human connection is the most powerful thing for me right now when I'm working with my clients, and for me on my own personal journey as well. The rest of it follows. It fucking always follows. But it's so powerful.
That's such the game changer bit for you, because we know that the world of speaker coaching and speaker training is absolutely flooded. And I'm sure there's a ton of good stuff out there. There's certainly a ton of, like everything, a ton of shite. And what I love about the way is that that real connection back to the human, back to the individual, back to source, back to tapping into their power and their purpose and who they are, and not just a mixture of skills and stuff to kind of bolt on fluffy stuff, which actually just doesn't stack up, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Read that in a book.
For sure. And so, for example, I worked with, a few weeks ago, I worked with, at the time, she was head of HR for an engineering company, £80 million turnover engineering company, pretty big firm up in East Riding of Yorkshire. And we had like 4 sessions with the CEO as well. And within two weeks, within those 4, she finally had the confidence to ask for a promotion. She said to me, if it wasn't for this work, she wouldn't have had the confidence. And a lot of times it's about giving people permission and actually seeing who people really are when they can't see themselves. And then having the courage and connecting, for me, it's connecting to my own heart and empathy and compassion, and letting people know the potential that I see, because it's real. And then she went and got the promotion because she had the courage to go in there and say, look, this is me. This is what I stand for. It's not what she could do, or that, you know what I mean? It wasn't some HR thing, but it's what she stood for, her values, who she was at her core. And that's the thing that got the promotion. And I just saw her like a couple of days ago, and she said she's now been promoted to the executive board. But that thing, all right, that's just titles and stuff. But the point being is the progression, because she stood up for who she was and she allowed people to see who she really is as well. And that's where this stuff becomes unfucking believable.
And so powerful when you have someone outside of you. Because it was one of the Facebook Lives recently, I talked a bit about Tasha Eurich and her work on building self-awareness and the kind of self-awareness archetypes. And she says actually doing that introspection and attempting to work stuff out for yourself and join the dots up with values and purpose and self-esteem and all of that stuff actually is really fucking hard. And the only way we can do it well is when we have someone helping us spot the dots and join it up. And I think you play that role so brilliantly.
Thanks, man.
That's all right.
Well, it's an honor for me to do that. Really, to be able to create a space for someone to then to see that in someone, to share that, and then for them to realize that and then take that action and whatever success looks like to them. But that was just, that for me was amazing. And I know for a fact the reason why that happened in such a short space of time is because the work that I was doing them at the time, I'd gone deeper within myself and connected with myself more than I have done for a long, long time. And because of that energy that I was bringing to the table, it was more transformative than normal.
Look, I know folks are going to have a ton of questions for you. So guys, if you've got questions, chuck them in the comments and we'll put them to Steve during this. If we don't get to them during it, we can pick them up afterwards. So Steve's a part of the BTFI group. So no worries on getting those picked up. So why are you so passionate? Because I know you're on a bit of a mission at the moment, a bit of on this kind of fighting the cause to revolutionize businesses, across the globe, but certainly in the UK at the moment. Why are you so passionate about it?
Because people are delivering communication and they're leaving their audiences bored, feeling numb, doing this. And they're either not aware or they don't care. And actually, for me, in any communication, the audience, as an actor, right, and you as a performer, you know that the audience is the most important element, because without them, you don't get up and perform.
Yeah.
What's the point? You keep doing that and performing with no audience, the men in white coats come and take you away.
It's not about you, it's about your audience. I say that a lot. And as soon as we start to make it about ourselves, that's it. It's game over.
Agreed. And so a lot of people get caught in the ego, right? Either people are going, oh, I'm the daddy or I'm this. Very few people I've come across, but a lot of people are going, I'm not good enough. I look like this. I sound like that. Nobody's going to want to listen to me. So you've got people in that ego, that unsupportive voice. But I say, screw that. Leave your ego and move over here to the we go. We go together. Break it down. We go. It's that conversation, that focus on the connection. And ultimately, when you and I and anyone, and if you're watching this right now, if you focus on your we go and actually connecting and sharing with the audience, all those feelings that are created by those negative thoughts, they can't exist in the same being as the ones that is focused on being present and in the moment and that connection. It's not possible.
Yeah, love it. Gets you straight out of your head.
And into your heart.
Yeah.
Into the feeling, into the emotion. That's what's massively lacking in UK PLC is the connection, people's connection to the emotion, and then the connection to their audience, the feeling part.
So what do you think are, if you were to list out some of the key mistakes, say, the key things that people get wrong when they're public speaking? And when we talk about speaking tonight, we're not just talking about people that are speakers, it will apply to them too, but we're talking to people that just have to, at some point in their life and day and work, which, to be honest, unless you're a mime artist, is probably most people, right? Are there any others? Any others that don't have to speak at all?
Not really.
Can't think of any. Okay, so we'll just go with, if you're a mime artist,
this isn't for you.
This isn't going to be that applicable to you, but for everyone else, it's applicable. So what do you think are some of the key mistakes that people make?
One huge one is lack of energy. And, someone gets up and they go, hello, we're here today to talk about blah, 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 blah. The audience is literally within seconds going, oh my God, I'm never going to get this time back again. So lack of energy. My audience, your audience, you're watching this, your audience is a direct reflection of you always. So if you don't bring a minimum level of energy to the table when you speak, you aren't going to grab them. So what I say to my clients is always, right, if they've got that issue, and a lot of people do, I say up your minimum level of energy that you bring to the table by 50%. Sometimes I have to slap it out and say 100% because they're like the Walking Dead, mate.
And even 100% for most people, I mean, it never maxes them out. I'd love to get to a point where you go, oh, rein it in a bit too much.
Yeah. Every now and then I have some clients I have to do that, and I'm like, hallelujah, because it's easier to rein it down, right? But also, you know, a lot of times people have been communicating that way for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and they've never got, so they get a bit self-conscious. And the self-perception of them being big, actually, when there's a workshop or other people giving feedback or watching themselves back on video, they go, oh, I can go much bigger. That felt bigger than it was.
Yeah,
yes, of course. That's why the filming and watching yourself back is so important. So
great, uncomfortable, but great.
Yeah, of course. And then when you get them out of their head and look at it from an objective point of view for the audience, then they can start critiquing themselves in a way that's actually is good and positive. So the energy, and also with the certain level of it, that leaves an energetic signature with the audience. You leaving crap energy everywhere, they're going to go away feeling crap.
Yeah.
You do good energy, you're going to liven up the audience. They're going to feed off that. They're going to give you back more energy. And then you have that dance with them. And it becomes easy then. So energy is the big one.
So it's about how you start it, isn't it? That energy that you bring right from the kickoff sets your baseline, and you can only go up from there.
Yeah, absolutely. The start is very, very important. The next one, the thing that I see is people have this aversion in UK PLC for whatever reason of not actually feeling what they're saying. So they say, you know, we've had a fantastic quarter. Was it fantastic? Doesn't bloody feel like it. So they've got this content coming out their mouth, this Vomiticus Contentinaatum, but they're not feeling it. And more importantly, what I call honoring the words. So if it was a fantastic quarter, you got to go, this was a fantastic quarter. You got to feel fantastic in the moment where you say fantastic. If this was terrible, you don't go, you know, this was a terrible quarter, we need to do better. This was a terrible quarter. We've got to do better. It sounds like such a fucking simple concept.
It is. It's so powerful.
Yes. When people start, and you know what, a lot of times it's like I unlock it, and you know, other coaches do this in different ways, but give people's permission to unlock their heart and feel again. And all of a sudden people do it. And I say, I promise you this. I guarantee you that when you start to feel what you're saying and honor your words more, you will feel more alive than you ever thought possible sharing this message. Every single time over the last decade, people are like, oh my God, I'm actually starting to enjoy this now. I said, I told you. I already said you were going to do that, because it's present and in the moment. You know, people start to feel what they're saying, and they deserve to. They don't deserve to be disconnected. And UK PLC is disconnected from its heart massively.
Yeah, which brings all kinds of problems, right? We're just focusing on one of them, I know, but brings all kinds of problems. Yeah. I spoke at a conference a few weeks ago, actually. There were 400 people in the room. I was doing the first keynote that afternoon, and it was opened up by two of the senior execs. And they stood there. They had a nice bit of music on. It's a nice kind of funky things with the lights. Very cool venue. This event had cost upwards of $1 million. And they walked on stage and said,
$1 million.
Hello. It's really good to be here. We're very excited to see you, and we're ready to have a fun 3 days.
Did they think they were the comedians?
I kid you not. And I was like, something's going to happen in a minute. There's going to be a moment where they're going to like spring people back to life. But that was the kickoff. And you're like, I didn't see them do any kind of setup of the day. Otherwise, I'd have had a conversation. But at what point does someone not say, guys, we need to figure this out? Disconnect, energy. This is the start of it, right? If this is the tone that we set.
Yes.
It doesn't actually matter if there's 250 people in the room or one person in the room. Still requires that same kickoff, with energy and connection.
Always. Can I share a quick story with you? My professional debut with my best mate when we graduated from drama school was at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, known to have the average audience of not a lot.
Yeah.
and we'd hired a 150-seater theatre. On our debut, we had 2 people in the audience. Our director, who was sitting near the back, who'd seen the show about 70 times, who was nearly asleep, and a reviewer from the biggest newspaper up there, The Scotsman. And she was sitting on row 2 and with her head like this. But we still had to deliver, even though we were dying inside. And it was a very interactive show. So, but you still got to deliver, right? You still got an audience.
But there's a different mentality and set of rules within theatre and performance, isn't there? Where you go, it's a non-negotiable. Actually, it's not an option to go, fuck it, there's only 2 of them. We can,
because people are paying most of the time, right?
Yeah. But in business, I think we can go, it's not important. The message isn't important. There's only 5 people. It's a shitty room. It's a Tuesday morning. We have all these justifications for why.
It's bullshit. That you can change somebody's life, literally change their life or save their life, mate. I don't know, but you could change the path, put them on the right course just by one thing you say. One thing could take a second.
Yeah, that's powerful.
That powerful,
real power. So that's 2. What else? One more.
People aren't aware of the visual image that they're giving across, more specifically the gestures that they make. A lot of people, they're like, oh, they're talking, they do this one thing the whole time, or they do this thing with their arm or their leg, and you're sitting in the audience going, did you see how many times you got to do the chicken thing? I got 44. Did you? No, I got 54. And you're like, okay, really? So you completely lose the focus of the message and start focusing on their weird quirks. And the simple question that you and I can ask ourselves is, and you do this, film yourself and watch it back, are my gestures supporting my message? And even if you're watching TED Talks, go and watch TED Talks. You know, are my gestures supporting my message? No, are their gestures supporting their message if you don't want to film yourself? And a lot of times people's gestures aren't. They don't make sense. You know, you talk about being a global organization, maybe that is, but you don't talk about being this kind of global organization. That's a stupid example, but there's a lot of confusion out there. But most people, we've been blessed with sight. I mean, I know at the weekend you kind of had half your sight, but most of us have been. So people are constantly taking pictures, millions of pictures all the time of us. So the visual part and the connection to the body and the physical is as important as how we deliver it as well, because you add your voice, the emotion, the visual, the gestures, all that together, it becomes super powerful. But 99.99% of people, they have no awareness, and they're leaving their audience feeling not a lot.
So none of those 3 things are complicated, right? So what makes it so difficult for people? What is it that means people have so lost sight of that simplicity that just doesn't happen? Disconnection and disconnection to themselves, because a lot of UK PLC is driven by numbers, it's driven by profit, it's driven not that's a bad thing, but there's a lot of outer external stuff that is governing, so people feel disconnected as well. And then I hear a lot of people go, I can be myself now at the end of the day, and I'm like, well, who were you being before? You know what I mean? And it's that's the real issue, is disconnection. And a sense of, if the more people connected to themselves, the more they can connect with other people. And a lot of times that's because of stuff that's happened in, life shit and lack of confidence and all that kind of stuff. So the inner work and the personal development work is, for me, is way more important than any public speaking or speaking skills that I can share with anyone. Do you think most people know that before they work with you, that they're going to get that bit? Do you think some people rock up thinking they're just going to get a bit of gestures and tone of voice and some pitch exercises? Sometimes, yeah. Well, in previous years gone by, but now, because of my evolution as me as a human being, I'm just saying it up front now, because I was a bit wary of doing that. And now, as I get more confident in what I'm really here to do and who I am, I'm just sharing that openly. And if people like it, they do. If they don't, well, that's okay. Do people always get it in advance? Do they have a clue what you're talking about? Intellectually, yes, but you can't get this stuff intellectually. You have to experience it and feel it, and that's when the light bulb goes off. So I'm happy to wait for them to go through that process. And also, there's no rush either. If they get it early or they get it later, it doesn't matter. They're on their own journey as well. There's that whole bit, isn't there, about meet people where they are rather than where you think they need to be. Sure. It's hard when you come from a place of passion and excitement and seeing the potential, and actually they may be in a way different place.
Yeah, and it's great to have that passion and that excitement. That's important. But I'm not always like this. I know we've only got a short amount of time, so I want to bring the energy. But when I'm with my clients, there's a level of compassion and empathy, and me like really opening my heart up and feeling them of where they're at. And then it's that dance of leading them. You're pushing them just a little bit more at the right time when you feel it, and trusting your intuition with that as well. But the compassion part for another human being, having gone through whatever they've gone through and gone on their journey. But I always know where people can get to, always, because I hold that vision right from the start, because I've had evidence of it over the last 10 years.
So what's your view on, say, professional speakers versus untrained coaches, speakers, facilitators? So what makes the difference between someone that's considered a professional speaker and those that aren't?
Well, I've got some friends and acquaintances that are professional speakers, or who are considered professional speakers. And what I've seen with that there seems to be there's a generalization that if you get paid to speak, you're classed as a professional speaker. And I don't agree with that, because I'm looking at the craft of performance and the technical side of it. Whereas I've seen plenty of people that get paid to speak who are absolutely fucking rubbish.
Yeah.
I've seen people that are paid to speak who are absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So for me, it's all about the audience. That's what it should be. That's what it should be measured on, is how well do you connect and take the audience on the journey? How much value do you add for them? How much space do you create for them to realize their potential in whatever that is, in whatever way that is, or help them in their life? That for me is what should be measured. It's not whether you get paid or not. It's that's a choice whether people choose that as a way to make money and a living. That's fine. But the professional thing, because there's different levels of skill in, say, the Professional Speakers Association as well. But to say you're a professional speaker just because you get paid from our theatrical background, that takes the piss a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into the whole PSA thing, but yeah, lots of professional speaking bodies, of which there are many across the planet, would say that it's about getting paid. But as you say, there are plenty of people that get paid that are still shit, and that doesn't actually determine the quality and style. There are some people that have the most brilliant messages and stories, and they kind of swum across the ocean with no arms, no legs, no head, and it's an incredible story.
Yeah.
And some of them tell it brilliantly, and some of them still tell it in really shit ways.
Yeah, and it's having that commitment to the audience. That for me has to be the priority. Well, it's twofold: the inner priority, commitment to connecting in with yourself, and then the outer priority, connecting with the audience. What do
you think about things like Toastmasters for people to practice their speaking?
Yeah, anything like that gives people the opportunity to actually put the craft into practice and be very supportive. I like that. I think that's great. But I've never experienced Toastmasters, so I don't know what they're focusing on. But from what I've heard, I mean, if there's a body that are committed to being a better speaker and connecting more with the audience, that kind of stuff, then great.
Yeah, I've never been to one either. I've got not the faintest idea, but I know lots of people I've seen some of the World Championship or Toastmasters World Championships, and there's been some good speakers and stuff that comes from that. So, if it's supporting people and creating a supportive environment where it's building people up rather than, Yeah, I'm kind of with you, really. Whatever creates that space and arena for people to get up on their feet, test it out, get some insight, get some input.
Yeah.
Like anything, right? We don't become a great tennis player by reading about it in a book. Same with speaking. There's tons of books and there's tons of online things to watch, but actually until you actually get up and do it and get someone
the best way. Yeah, I mean, we can intellectualize about this stuff, but this is one of these things and tools and experiences that you have to feel it rather than intellectual, because intellectualize, you're stuck up in your head again,
So tell me why you're so interested in this kind of senior leadership, senior executive level population. Why so much fascination with them in particular?
Because they're the leaders. They're the people with teams of hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe 10 people. But it's the senior leaders that are leading the ship, or the many ships, like cruise liners, little dinghies, but they're leading their teams, right? So they're at the forefront of leadership. And if leaders in UK PLC aren't nailing it when they communicate, what chance does the rest of the company have? What kind of role models are they being for impactful communication? That's why senior leaders, when they get this stuff and they implement it, it is revolutionary. Because a lot of leaders, they don't know this stuff exists. I can't tell you how many times I've gone and done trainings with individuals or companies or people or teams, and they've gone, we didn't get this in a presentation skills course. Of course you fucking didn't, because I don't give a crap about PowerPoint. I don't care about what content. I don't care about what you say. I care about how you say it and the impact of the audience. And when people get that, that's when the feeling and the enjoyment comes in. That's why senior leaders, it's the quickest way to revolutionize UK PLC, because if the senior leaders do that, cascades down to multiple levels.
Yeah, it goes viral super quick, right? And there are tons of businesses that have a massive impact on this planet too in so many other ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they ain't communicating right, well, just dead audiences.
Who would you say is, I'll put you on the spot with, who's a speaker that you've seen that people may know or may not know that you go, that's it. On point.
And look, he's around bloody everywhere. He's been around for a while. I really like Gary Vaynerchuk.
Okay, so tell us what you like about him. So some people watching will go, Gary who? Go and check him out if you don't know who he is.
For me, he's most consistently one of the most authentic and energized communicators and speakers that I've seen. He's so connected to himself and is always about know who you are, he's got the personal development vibe going on, but then he communicates his message all the time with such great energy, which is why I like it's always consistent. And his purpose is clear and his energy is always on point. And he's just real. Like no matter because I've met him, I've seen him speak live, I watch him online. He's no different. He's not gone into presentation mode. He's talking. He's having a conversation with the audience. I really like his energy. Yeah.
I didn't think you'd say him, actually. I didn't know who you'd say. I didn't think you'd say him. And actually, he ticks every single one of the three boxes that you talked about anyway at the beginning.
Yeah.
And, as you say, authentic, consistent, every single time, whether he's sat in the back of a car having a conversation with someone or whether thousands in front of him.
All the time. And it's he's not always at the big energy level because you don't need to be. But he feels everything that he says. Always.
And Marmite.
Of course, if you ain't going to polarize people, what's the point?
Yeah. He's got
them out there.
If you look at his following, he's not having too many problems, right? With engagement and people liking his stuff.
Absolutely.
So go on then, give us some top tips. So for people that are watching that maybe speak on big platforms, maybe they speak just at their team meeting once a week, maybe they don't even do that, but there's a little bit of them that wants to. What would you say? What are the top 2 or 3 things that they can go and do right now to get some momentum?
Okay. The first one is pick this up, which is a smartphone, which I'm pretty sure you will have. Get a tripod, get a stand, film yourself and watch it back. And ask yourself this question. Is that speaker, is that presenter somebody that is engaging? Forget that it's you as much as you can. I know you have that little voice going on, but just film yourself and watch it back. Because at least then you know. Yeah. Get that stuff out of the way. And if you've got some specific content, do that. You don't have to upload it anyway. You can show it to someone who's going to be honest with you, not someone who's going to be, oh, that's amazing. No, forget that. Someone who's going to be honest with you and caring. So that's the first one. Find out where you are or get some professional advice from someone like me or someone else that understands the craft. That's really important. You go to somebody who knows what they're talking about rather than your mum or your dad or your aunt or your uncle who loves you, whatever you bloody do. The next thing would be is like I said before, it's the feeling. Give yourself permission to feel what you say more than you ever have done before. You know, when you're a kid, a lot of times we just go, we say what we feel and we feel what we say, and it's brilliant, good, bad, whatever. Give yourself permission to get connected to your emotional body. and feel everything, the good, the bad, and express it more than you do now, because that is the thing that's going to impact other people, whether you're talking to one person or many people. So give yourself permission to feel like never before. And the third one,
cool.
Find a space, some quiet, where you can just sit and be and listen to your heart. And ask it this question: what do you want me to know? And sit in silence for, say, 3 or 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and then ask that question. You might be surprised.
I feel like the world's just gone really quiet. There's loads of people watching this that are just going to go.
It's a really powerful exercise. And when you do it, put your hand here and breathe through your nose, out through your mouth. This inner connection piece has the potential to transform your world. But all too often, we're so focused on external things. Got to do this. I've got to reach that. I've got to do this, that we forget that the most important person is us. And the heart is infinitely more powerful than the brain.
Ain't that the truth? I have a question for you from Andrew, which is, so do you think it's just UK PLCs that has this issue, or do you think other countries have the same problem?
Yes. Other countries definitely have the same problem, because I've had clients in other countries. The USA definitely does. Italy, actually, you think that they gesticulate a lot and they're very emotional. I mean, some of the senior execs I've worked with in Italy as well, they're boring as hell. It's all the same, because you're dealing with humans.
Do you think we're more extreme? I know not more extreme. Do you think we're just different over here in that there's that perception
culturally
that we're much more reserved?
Yeah, I think there's yes, I think there's definitely cultural issues for sure. And in the UK, that as a general blanket statement, we're more reserved for sure. In America, they're slightly more extrovert, but we are.
And maybe that's just around the whole energy piece in terms of in my view, in terms of the connection piece and the connection to self. I don't think that's any different anywhere else on the planet.
No.
As a generalization.
Yeah,
I think in terms of energy on a sliding scale, I'm fairly sure that we're down, certainly in that speaking and engaging people space, we're down the lower end, the quieter.
Yeah, absolutely. And culturally, it's not taught at schools. I mean, this for me is one of the most important skills. You don't get taught how to manage money. You don't get taught how to communicate with people. Like, this should be taught in infants and junior school right from that point, because, I've seen it when you get kids, and I want to work with kids more and do more with that. And it's the difference in them. When you give them self-permission and then they express that, it's just, you think, oh my God, if you finish school at 16 or 18, you've had no formal training or proper coaching around actually speaking skills and what it takes to engage an audience. You go, right, so what are you going to have to do as soon as you get out? Pretty much you're going to have to interview, unless you're an entrepreneur or you start your own business. And you got to know how to communicate with another human, but they don't, because it's not bloody taught at schools. It's criminal.
Yeah, you are bang on, my friend. We're very lucky that Mia's first school she went to had, when she was 5, they had elocution once a week. And it was a bit poncy, but at a very basic level, at least got them into the idea of expressing themselves, standing in front of people, having conversations with groups of people. It was brilliant. And Mia kind of flourished in that space. And then she went to senior school, a different school, and they had nothing. They did nothing like that. And we'd go along to some of the assemblies, and actually Mia stood out for how she spoke, but there were lots of kids in the room, and the majority that were just terribly uncomfortable, had never done this before. These are kids of like 8, 9. And I actually went to see the headmistress about it and said, why not? Why wouldn't you put something in place as a basic for the kids? She goes, well, they do when they get to 13, when they get to senior school. It's too late.
It's too late. Yeah,
it's too late. It's already happened by then.
Of course, all the habits and everything and the ways of being and their thinking, it's all that young age. That's 13 is too late. They've already formed everything.
you know, it's weird because I think the last few Facebook Lives I've run, yours with Joe Wilson on confidence, the ones we've done around good mental hygiene and depression, and actually all of them have come back to, we have to be better at educating people. There's people like us that are helping people once this stuff is kind of locked in and helping them collapse old habits and building new ones.
Yeah.
How the fuck aren't we better at educating the kids from an early age around good mind hygiene and building confidence and kind of our inner story, connecting to self, speaking? Jesus.
You look at the current system, the Victorian system, as it still is now after 100 years or whatever, it was built to create factory workers and people to say yes and do what they're told. So that, and it hasn't changed. But it's got to change at some point, mate, because a lot of times it's not working. Right,
what are we going to do? What are we going to do about it?
Everything.
No, it has to
well,
change.
It does have to change. So let's it's got to change from the start, from a young age, right?
There is a guy we're going to get on in a few weeks, actually. I'm speaking to him this week, called Ed Fido, who runs School 21. Check it out, in London. They are state school. They've got outstanding in their Ofsted. And they are running schooling and education in a very different way and bringing up children. They've just put forward they've run the first GCSE in well-being. They do lots of stuff around mindfulness, connection with the human, speaking, and the results are extraordinary. They're still doing all the mainstream stuff, but big swing towards the people, the individual, the human in there.
Amazing.
And, game-changing stuff.
School 21, you said?
School 21. I'm going to get him on here because Ed Fido, who was one of the founders, I haven't met him. It's just someone said you need to speak to this guy because he's shaking up how people are doing education. So same as you're shaking up PLCs and all people in business, really, which is what we love. So the more ripple and discomfort we create there, the bigger impact.
Yeah, of course, man.
So where can people track you down, Steve?
You can find me on LinkedIn. Just search for Steve Trister. Or right now, we actually launch on the 1st of May. It's the Speaking Revolution Executive 100, which I know they're gonna pop the link in the chat or wherever it is. Yeah, I'm taking senior leaders on an 8-week online transformational journey where I'm going to basically share everything I know, and it's little half-an-hour calls weekly with some support in a private group. And it's just, getting people feeling differently and expressing themselves in a different way that's going to really impact their teams and their organizations.
Love it. Love it. Love it. We're going to put the link, we'll pop the link in a moment so people can easily find you. You're in the BTFI group anyway. Folks, if you've got questions, if you're watching now and you've got questions, pop them in. We'll pick them up. If you're watching this on repeat at some point in the middle of the night because you've got nothing better to do, then still post questions and we will get back to you. Not then, but we will get back to you at some point. So, Steve, I love it. Thank you. God bless you. You bring brilliance and joy and insight every time I speak to you.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for inviting me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Over the coming weeks or so, we're going to do a bit of a deep dive webinar, I think, for people, and go in a little bit more and give people some more of the real tangible stuff to fiddle around with.
Ready for that, mate.
But until then, again, bless you. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure. And I'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. See you next week, Monday, 8:00. Have a good one. Good night. Yeah, don't mock my eyes. Go away.
I wasn't mocking your eyes.
You were. Yeah, you were. Go away.
Don't be so sensitive.
I'm going to get a red t-shirt.
Double salute.
Is that your double salute?
Yeah.
Yeah, but my eye, that side is the wonky one. Go away. Good night. Over and out. See ya.